cover a lot of program for them. But I think it has been created by an act. It's on its own. So tell us, in essence, what is the Liberia Standard Authority? What it does?
Okay, Liberia Standard Authority, like you said, initially was a division under the Ministry of Commerce. Called Standard Division. Later on, somewhere around 2008, it moved to what we call, there was an MOU signed with the ECOWAS Quality program that moved it to what we call National Standard Laboratory. That process is established in the Public West Yard. So somewhere in 2002, the government acted it into a seeming autonomy, giving it some level of independence. So basically, it's about standard development and promotion.
Okay.
You got a country where it's involving trade, and trade, too many things are traded. And goods come into the country, goods leave, services come to the country, services leave. How these services and goods are meeting international standards or are meeting standards. Because the whole concept about industrialization or trade, it must meet standards.
Yep.
So standards, when we talk about standards, we're talking about regulations for a product, a description. The standards will describe the product. It will describe the kind of method you use to test the product, or what the product should be. It is crafted in a piece of document called a standard. And there are institutions around the world that issue some of those standards. Like we have the international standard organizations, and besides the international standard organizations, we have other bodies like in ECOWAS. We got the EcoStem standards. They got standards issued by EcoStem. We have CODAT.
That Liberia signed up to.
Yes, and these standards, like right now, we got approximately 150 standards, and these standards are adopted. And they are international standards issue, and they are adopted. And since we adopted them, we're going to move them to technical regulations. And the technical regulation is the level at commerce, is commerce on a duty. After we get the voluntary standards, we adopt it, we take it to the board meeting. And the chairman of the board is the Minister of Commerce. And there are standard division also in Commerce Ministry. So the guys will move this instrument into technical regulations. That technical regulations, the president will gazette it, or the foreign ministry will gazette, the executive will gazette it through the foreign ministry. Now, when it is gazette, it's an instrument for enforceability, or it's an instrument for people to comply to.
Yeah.
So WTO has standards too. WTO has rules.
The World Trade Organization.
So in that case, you have to create awareness, because in the absence of creating awareness, you create problem for trade, or you create some barriers in trade,
and not full compliance.
Yes. So you have to let the business community, you have to make the stakeholders aware about these standards. Like now, like the weekend was in Basel, looking at the national food fortification standards. So people or the world is saying the food should be fortified, meaning that every food must have nutrients. People eating food are nutrients. So you just eat when there's no nutrients, it creates some macronutrient deficiency. And the macronutrient deficiency will create problems, and will create different form of illnesses that affect our citizens. So every food we eat must meet standards. So it is known now that these fortification standards, we got stakeholders in the sector. We're going to talk about macronutrients. You're talking about, you're talking about Ministry of Health that's doing nutritional programs, and other the Commerce Ministry. You talk about the Public Health Institute, and the Agriculture Ministry, and other organizations. We all met in Basel to see how we can finalize on the 5-year plan. And there was era where there was alignment and realignment. And I'm sure that this instrument will soon come out where will be validated. And when it's validated at our level, at the standard authority, will do more awareness about it. And after we do awareness, anything coming in the country, you have to meet the standards. Anything coming, you have to meet the standards. So when people may request that they want to bring this kind of product in country, those product we request them to bring sample of those products at the standard lab, and those samples are tested to see compliance with the standard. So if for any reason that sample brought into the country don't meet the standard, it means that the importer will be advised, and the Ministry of Commerce will also be advised, because it's the mother institute that are responsible for ensuring that most of the things are executed.
Okay.
So the whole standard process is just a process where we need to rescue the market, where people bring a whole lot of maybe goods and are meeting standard, substandard goods in our commerce, is what this try to stop. So since 2022, since the leadership, since there was no one appointed there, the president in his wisdom saying talking about rescue, he thought it was to appoint a leadership. So I'm the first digit to this authority.
Wow.
So, and it's very unique. Right now, since we started, we have so many different things we have to put into perspective. Because we look at the act that created, it has a transitional provision. So that transitional provision needs to be executed. We need to comply with that transitional provision. So right now, there are conversations with stakeholders in the sector to ensure that the compliance provision is being executed. So we got Ministry of Finance, we got LRA, because we got to talk about press regime, we got to look at the different press regime, because some of the services we run it has some fees implication. So we have to have an agreement with the Ministry of Finance and LRA to ensure what kind of regime is applied to some of the services that would not create any form of barrier entry, or that will not create any form of problem entry. So that process is ongoing. We also have the CSA, and the CSA joker is very progressive. So we're seeing how we can do the staffing and mandate, because we're not going to hire anybody without the requisite
competence.
So all the processes we're trying to put them into place with the CSA and the GS and the Governance Commission. So as soon as that process is being finalized, again we'll be transitioning the staff from the standard lab to the standard authority. So we're going to transition that process. So it's a very unique process.
So we started with noting that this authority at the time it was a lab. It was under the Ministry of Commerce.
Yeah.
And we know that the Ministry of Commerce is located at the ministerial complex. So where is the authority's office as we speak?
The authority office is in the Public Works Yard. Besides located in the Public Works Yard, every ministries and agency.
You mean on Lane Street?
Yes, every ministry and agency can have an extension. So this was just an extension of the Ministry of Commerce. They got a business registry. All these entities under the Ministry of Commerce. It just maybe like ours. There is a late form of semi-autonomy given to us in terms of and function some kind of independence. So we have a board, and the chairman of the board is the Minister of Commerce. He still sits over the board. Then we have Public Works, we have EPA, we have Agriculture, Health. Then we have like some other major stakeholders like the Liberia Business Association, the Liberia Chamber of Commerce, the Consumer Council. And these are all stakeholders as it relates to the trade sector in Liberia. So they all are members of our unique board.
Standards cuts across. Standard cuts across. It could be consumable, non-consumable, and services.
Yeah.
Let's start with consumables. Talking about food and all that. How is your standard compliance effective towards those consumable items?
At every level there might be a limitation. At the lab level, where we have now the National Standard Lab, we got 3 functional labs, and we got 3 functional labs with 6 scientific staff, which is insufficient. So we have what we call the macro and biology labs, so we have what we call the food chemistry, and we have meteorology. So these 3 labs are there with 6 scientific staff
located at the
standard lab.
Okay.
So we will take them. They are rendering services for those 3 labs. But before this president regime ends, I'm telling you, we'll move it to 19 different labs, because there are too many things. Like right now, we got the electrical and electronics lab. We see it very important to us at the current movement. You got electricity is expanding. There are too many importation of different kinds of electrical material, electronics material.
So you also test that.
Yes. So sometime last week, I had a meeting. I had a request with to meet the engineering society because I went to EDC and to talk to see how we can talk on how they can help us with training of some of the young people who doing electricity and electronics around in Liberia. We can train some of them to run us on services for us in the lab. So they refer me to the engineering society. The engineering society are experienced group of Liberians who are running different form of services. So we have a pending conversation with them as it relates to that lab. We need that lab urgently. And you understand, we need that lab urgently. And I'm telling you, we're going to do all we can in our the remaining part of this year. We're going to make sure that we establish that lab because we have to engage and ensure that
what's the urgency?
Because electricity right now is expanding. And distribution of electricity all over the country. The government is serious about electricity. So because of the expansion and the distribution process, there is a huge demand for importation of electrical and electronic materials. So that importation, we need to put a checkpoint to ensure that what comes to our country is the best.
You think the expansion of electricity has a risk attached for the fact that there will be huge importation of electrical materials, and some of these materials may not be up to standard for which the lab is very, very necessary?
Yes, because of the expansion, there's a huge demand for the material. And you understand? But the electricity will move to a community of materials. Right now, when people get current to their houses, they want TV, they want S-bars, they want different kinds of electronic materials. So because of the expansion and the distribution, there's a huge demand for electrical and electronic material in the country. So our office and this president is serious about that. So we're going to ensure that that lab is established. We work with the requisite authority to ensure that the staff are there. They also look at I have expertise in maritime affairs, which is international trade. So in my expertise, I have some emphasis in fishery. If you look at the way, say, most of the things that come to our commerce in terms of frozen food, the way it is packaged, the way it is transported, and where it is kept, all those places I see major challenge in terms of standardization. Because when I was taught standards in the World Maritime University in Sweden, the perspective about fishery, I think there's some level of challenges that need to be corrected in terms of standard. And we have the standards. We have standards that we have adopted that has to do with packaging.
But the two labs that we have, what do they do then?
Oh,
don't they test food?
They test food. And we have a food chemistry lab. Brilliant young people there. They test food. And you see, let me tell you something. Those work beginning next year. What I foresee when we start the vigorous exercises, we need to increase our capacity to face the public demand. And what is there need to be increased at a considerable level that face the public demand. Because when it comes to quality infrastructure and monitoring or control, you need to be on time. When the people say they want this, because the businessman is dealing with time. Most of the product that is being procured coming to the country, the calculating time, the time will come, the time will last on the market, the time will sell, all the things, it takes the time. So you providing quality services, you have to be punctual, you have to be on time. So we're going to ensure that our capacity at the level of the standard authority can commensurate with what the public want. So like the food, yes, we got some. Like look at now.
So what is being tested as we speak?
They test water, and they test food, and they test
the two labs that the two labs.
Yes, when you talk about meteorology, you talk about weighting, you talk about and length. I agree that
weather and all that.
Yes, we have one of the brilliant. In fact, is the home of meteorology in Liberia. The guys there got good ideas, but we need to strengthen them in terms of policy. Because the late few days I have spent there, I'm trying to compare it with the activities with other activities in the region. So there is some level of late policy gaps. Like I am the manager for the meteorology section has spoken on how we can bridge that policy gap, because you look at this country, you got too many things coming here. You need to measure them. You need to wait. And when somebody tell you say this is this way, you need to do it with calibration. Calibration has to do with the person. Like for example, the gas station, the man who sells the gas, the man say 1 gallon. Is it actually 1 gallon the man giving you? So it means that the pump need to be calibrated to where you the consumers will not feel cheated, and the seller will not feel cheated. So there are so much different kinds of activities we need to run out to the public, that we need to put into place the structure, the quality structure to face them. You talk about agricultural activities right now all over the country, and people want to export their locally produced products.
Gary, for example.
Now, most of the market you export it to, here it needs to be tested, and it must meet standard before it survive in other markets. So if it don't meet standards, it gets there. They sell it. The actual resources or actual participation in terms of what you want on return, you will not get it. So there is challenges with our local market, and the president is serious about that. It will play a role in the global community, in the ECOWAS community. This structure, that is why ECOWAS is very serious about the standard authority, and it's in the ECOWAS is very serious about the standard authority. And two, I'm a European trainee, so like my sister Amma Glasgow at Fishery. People think how she attracted the European community. The institution we went to is one of the best in the world in terms of trade. So most of the time, if their graduates get to the kind of permanence, they are heavily supported. You will not believe it. Yesterday, I received long emails after writing. They will link me to some other partners that would help me to improve the quality structure in Liberia.
I tell you what, I'm trying to wrap my head around, how you go about this, but standard is a very big and broad area, broad field. Right now, your capacity is low to meet the demand of what standard is. When do we start to see the standard authority living up to the standards of international organizations, the standards of international best practices?
So this remaining part of this year, we'll be laying foundation. So I'm sure before the year ends, the president, in his wisdom, will gazette the 150 different standards, because we want it to be gazette. We want it to be a legal instrument. So
right now it is not.
It's voluntary. I'm not saying it's not legal, but when the president gazettes something, it means that particular instrument is taken at a very serious level. Right now, it's voluntary standards. It's voluntary standards. So we want to move to the technical regulation and show that it works. 2, this remaining year, we're going to work to establish some relevant labs. Relevant lab. The 3 that they want to increase it. And when we're increasing it, we also have to increase it in terms of personnel. So it means that we have to train people. The 3rd thing we're going to do this year is to identify labs in the country that can run us some services that we can run up. If the labs are in the country and they are accredited, because the lab we do business with has to be accredited. So when those labs are accredited, we're going to see how we sign some form of agreement with them so that they can run us some services for us. So all the foundational work we do, and we need to do massive publicity, because WTO is pushing us to at least inform the public almost 6 months, and they have different levels of information. So if you want to do this, you have to inform them on this. You have to do this, you have to inform them on this. And all those processes we have to consummate them this year. Then the press regime, because you're talking about when I do this, somebody will pay this or this. All those things need to be put in perspective. The publicity will not only be done by us, LRA will do some of the publicity, and finance will help, and other stakeholders in the sector will help. So all these structures have to be put into place. We also have to look at the process at the various ports, because the ports of entry, our people need to be deployed there. If it will cost us to establish quality infrastructure there that will do some of the testing, all the things need to be put into perspective. Then when we pick up for good. And like I was talking to some of the technicians the weekend, they say, Chief, let's look at maybe 20 products, because we should not be overplus ambitious. That want to take maybe more than 150 or more than 200 different products and engage the market. No, let's look at some of the essentials and product. So when we look at them, we would look at about 20 or 30. We focus on the publicity and start the implementation. As we start elevating it and more Liberians start getting involved, because the standards matter in the country, as soon as Liberians get involved, when they take ownership of it, my brother, we go nationwide.
What's the difference between standard and quality?
Standards, when you talk about quality, standards bring about quality.
Okay.
In the business of standardization, with quality and standards, the standard is the rules that bring about this quality.
The quality, okay.
And you understand? We want this quality. The standard is the rules. So you say,
to meet this quality, you have to apply.
You have to apply the standards.
Okay.
And in the standard, if you look at the standards, each of the standards that is being issued by international people, they give you the mentor. So it will have we have our laboratories there. The lab technicians will see the mentor in the standard. What kind of mentor to apply? Because if he applies that mentor and the results he get, a businessman challenge it, then it means that we have to take that product to a similar facility and that same mentor will be applied. So when the two mentors are applied and the results are the same, you the businessman have to live by it. But if it gets to a different lab and the results or the indicators is different, it means that initially the lab technician tempered the results. Yeah. So every standard has a mentor.
Yeah,
for application.
I asked the question because the Liberia Health Product Regulatory Authority, the LMHRA, has lab too.
Yes.
And they test the quality of the medicines that come in the country. So I just want to know the line of difference between what you do and what entity like the LMHRA does. So if you find out that standards were not followed to give you quality, what do you do? What are the penalties?
We inform the Ministry of Commerce that allowed goods to come to the country to put stop or to confiscate confiscate it or take issue with the relevant importer. So, like you talk about the regulatory authority, we're going to work with them. They have labs. So the lab, the guy when it comes to medicine, importation of medicine, we're going to work with them. So there will be an understanding how we work together. So if for us at the standard authority and we identify there's a problem, that problem is communicated straight to the Ministry of Commerce through the board, and they will take the relevant step to ensure that maybe that goods or that product is off our market.
You say you be preying on the president to KZ at least over 100 standards. Would they be inclusive of food and non-food items?
Yes, the standards are composed of food and non-food items. The standard we got right now is composed of non-food and non-food items. So those standards, like we're trying right now, the standard division in our area is trying to see how we can map them. And like I'm saying, if we just take all maybe more than 150 or 150, it's a serious problem. To execute
because you don't have the capacity.
So right now I got a little over 20 some more staff in the standard lab that will be transitioned. And budget, we just coming in new entity, no sufficient money yet. So if you want to hire, it's a challenge in hiring. So we have to find a way that we gradually progress above the ladder. So we're going to do that little by little. So the little we have, we'll deploy it and ensure that as we move on through discussions with stakeholders in government and assure the process will be elevated to the level we want it.
I get it. If you test the standardization of a goods of consumables and non-consumables, but what about service? How do you determine that a service has been standardized?
So, for example, if you see, like, let's say the example on a water factory, you work with the EPA. That's one of the reasons the EPA on the board. You work with the Public Health Institute, and you move there and do a tough assessment. Every water producing facility must meet certain standards, have regulations for it.
Yep.
And we get to your facility, it don't meet standards. It means that you can produce water there. We inform the relevant authority to have that place, and close, or a process taken against them that will do some corrections. Because again, our action should not create any form of trade barriers. So if for any reason we see this is not correct, we inform the Ministry of Commerce or we inform the relevant authority. That process, if they want to correct it, if they say we give them time to close the correct, we will do that, because it's about trade, it's about sustainability, it's about livelihood. But we'll ensure that we do the right thing. And you say, why? Yes, standard, when you talk about standard authority, it's standard for everything. And it's standard for everything. And if you look at the world, almost 30 somewhat different labs are established in some other countries. The Ghana we're trying to work with, most of the time, Ghana get almost 19 different labs. Isn't it? So the labs will vary based on
in the standard authority.
In the standard authority.
And we just have 3.
We got 3, but we're just starting now. We'll get more than 3. We're just starting. So as we move on, we'll progress. And it's a very serious process. External matter is not an ordinary matter in a country. So it requires time, it requires energy, it requires commitment, it requires political will to have it working. Because, for example, if somebody want to bring certain kind of rest, and you say the rest don't meet standards, you must be strong to say the rest don't meet standards, and you must be supported. Because some of the things that come is, too many things involved in the business, in the business world. Too many things involved. So at the standard authority, we're going to ensure that everybody live up to the standards.
Have you been able to see our record, our standard record, as per these various protocols that we subscribe to, whether it's regional or continental or international, like the WTO, the ECOWAS, regarding standards? What is our record? Have you investigated since you went to office? Have you seen how well we are compliant with a standardization of goods, services, and our ability to detect standards and all that?
When it comes to business or trade, you have to be diplomatic. I don't want to start ridiculing people at my initial stage of the work. The president has sent me to work.
No, as per our record.
Our records, our driving, our records, we need to work on some things in our records. And I have seen the records. We need to work. And right now, the guy who held the lab at his level, the standard lab on the Ministry of Commerce, has been pressing to ensure that some of the area we get in compliance. So, and over the week, I was in Basel. I was trying to engage him to see if we can get in compliance with certain things, because the deadline is this month. And there is an effort, request to at least move the deadline small so that we can find a way to live up to the requirement of the international cycle. And when it comes to some of our records, we'll improve on it. Like I said, it's a new entity, so we're going to work, and we have to, we got dues obligation. We have to be paying dues because there are some other bodies we part of. Those body has due. We need to meet up with those due obligations. So we're going to work as seriously to ensure that because if your quality institution in your country is not in compliance with some of these international instruments or international institutions to enforce some of their standards and stuff, because they issue the standards, and so if they issue the standard, you won't be enforcing the both standard in your country. You can't pay due or you can't do this. It's challenging. But this government, you think that when the government started, we have some obligations also, and the government has robustly started paying or started meeting with some of the obligations. So if the government believes that she needs the image international to be repaired, we at the standard authority will have to follow, because the executive is serious about this. The president has done all he can to ensure that the AU, the other international body or regional bodies, our obligations are settled. I think at the standard authority, he's going to support us in ensuring that we are in compliance.
Tell us about the program in Buchanan. The fortification, food fortification. What was it all about?
Macronutrient deficiency is a serious threat to babies or serious threat to us.
Mm-hmm.
So again, there is a standards that local rice, sugar, salt, oil, and that all the food must be fortified. All the food must contain nutrients. Don't bring food in a country that don't contain nutrients, or don't give food to people, or people should not eat food that don't contain nutrients. Most of the food we eat today,
mm-hmm.
these food are not containing nutrients. So at the end of the day, our people eat just for belly food or just to have a full stomach.
Mm-hmm.
So that process in Buchanan was to really look at the programs. What kind of programs do we get involved in as an alliance? Because this alliance composed of different institutions. The Liberia Standard Authority is there. The Ministry of Health, Public and Justice Ministry, Agriculture, and the Consumer Council. Different institutions, private sector, private sector represented by business people. All of us met to look at the 5 years plan. So that plan, like I said, few days from now, the Secretary is going to make a report, and there will be a schedule for validation.
Mm-hmm.
When it is validated in our plan, every institution, because we're using sectoral approach, every institution in that plan has an obligation to ensuring that we fortify food, or food is fortified. So in that area, the Standard Authority, the Liberia Standard Authority, is to ensure that the standard
is followed.
So at my level, with the team of expert scientists I got there, we ensure that process, there's a conformity with the standard that is being issued, or the standard that has been adopted or gazette. So we're going to do we'll start with publicity. We'll tell people, say this food must be at this level, or this is the standard for the kind of food. And we add this standard, it means that the food is not fortified. When the food is not fortified, you eat it, it will create some form of deficiency in you.
Mm.
And this deficiency will create health problems. Because where there is deficiency, there is health problem. Normally, you lack certain kind of vitamin, maybe so in your mouth, and you saw your headache or this. So when there is deficiency, there is health problem.
Mm.
So we're going to advise our citizens that yes, this kind of food is the kind of food you need to take in. And you understand, you go to the market, this is the kind of food. And we're going to move to what we call standard mark. Some of the products that is produced or come in the country, maybe we'll have standard mark on it. That process will be discussed with LRA and other things. So when you see the product and you see the mark,
mm-hmm.
it means that product is satisfied for consumption.
Okay.
So there is a huge obligation to ensure, but LRA and us, the technical team and us, going to elevate it to a way that it is enforceable.
Yeah. So as per just looking at what you do, it seems as if most and bulk of your work is on import materials, import goods. What about export goods? Do you extend your standardization policy and regulation to Liberians who are importing, whether it's gari, whether it's the rice, whether it's rubber, and all those kinds of things?
Yes, we will do it with export goods. Like I said initially, the agriculture sector is booming. Like I would say, sitting here right now, I got on rice, almost 50 bags of rice on my farm.
Mm-hmm.
See rice I'm trying to sell to some of the people who involved in agricultural activities. So there are too many people who engage in agricultural activities in the country. So those people that are engaging in agricultural activity and wishing to export, like right now I see people exporting oil. I was somewhere, I saw people lowering oil to export. So for it to get value, for people to respect it, it must go through our quality test. And if you go to Firestone, Firestone has a quality laboratory. Okay. You go to GVL has a lab. one of the business person was telling me they have to pay $8,000 to Ghana Standard Lab every month to do a test on their product before because it has to meet quality requirements. So for that, if you look at 8,000, they really say if the Standard Lab and them can go through certain kind of MOU, it will cost them to train our staff and buy us the equipment and put it here, and over time they be deducting that money. It will be very good for them. That means I will not spend more money also, because just imagine
but these labs will have to be certified, right?
Yes,
by whether ECOWAS or the WTO,
the international standard organizations.
Okay.
Has structures around that certify these labs.
Are our labs certified?
Our lab is certified. The lab
you see. You seem not to be answering the question with confidence. But are our labs actually satisfied? The things that we have.
Yes. The lab is there, I tell you.
But the reports don't look good, right? Or we need to upgrade.
As you move the place to authority, it need upgrade. It was a division on commerce. Says that it has been moved to an authority. The board or the council is concerned about an upgrade, so we want to upgrade it.
Yeah, because I asked the question because if your lab is not certified, then I think that you have no moral.
No, I don't want to use the word lab is not certified.
No, I'm just saying in the case where the labs are not satisfied, you don't have the moral standing to question the standardization of a particular goods or service.
Our lab is of standard. It has meet the requirement. Is recognized. Is accredited. The lab there just needs some form of upgrade. It means that the upgrade it has to do with not being satisfied. No.
Okay.
And you understand? Like I said, there are efforts applied to upgrade it to a standard that is that can face the market.
And our partners, the international partners willing to help with the upgrade. I know you're still starting afresh, but a lot of things will have to happen before we see you rolling out and making gains in those areas.
The international community is concerned about what we consume. They concerned about welfare. They concerned about the ecosystem in Liberia. The international people. That is why if you look at the country I got trained in Sweden, too much is being invested in Liberia, in the protections of environment, in the protections of ecosystem, in the protection of our well-being. So they stay committed to that. There is a commitment to us that they're going to support the lab. And they're going to ensure that GRZ, the program went for GRZ through the Cali Relief Agency, sponsored the Fortification Alliance workshop in Buchanan. So when it comes to the international people, there is too much goodwill.
Okay.
And too much goodwill, towards the Liberia Standard Authority. And I can tell you, you will see before the year end, you will see how the structure will be. You will see how it will pick up, and I will need the state radio station. I'm going to discuss with you people to see how you give us time on this program called Standard Hour. We've got different people who specialize in different areas. We have a whole department of technical affairs. That department of technical affairs get all the different technicians there. You get chemists, you get physicists, you get biologists, every different kind, agriculturalists, for every different kinds of people there, because their whole mind is about how the country is protected from activities that will pose a threat to the well-being of the people, the environment, and living creatures.
Okay, you're listening to the Super Morning Show this morning. The first Director General of the Liberia Standard Authority, Councillor Alizim Kanswa, is here as my guest, and we're looking at the work of the authority, his vision, his plan for the authority to make it more vibrant and robust. A little more was heard about the Standard Lab at the time under the Commerce Ministry, but as an authority now, let's see how as the first Director General he can be able to revamp and standardize the standard authority itself. Yeah. But let's see if we can take calls. Call us on 0770581886, 0770581886, and be live on the show this morning as well. With the call, Councilor, listen, Councilor. I mean, just looking at the standard authority, you see this as an enormous task, to head this authority as an authority now.
Yeah,
it's a huge task.
It's a huge task.
Again, given the challenges, the challenges are enormous as well.
The former president said, "If your dream don't scare you, it's not a real dream."
Yeah. Let's hear from this person. Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
What's your name?
I'm Gibson Breezy from Benafan.
Yeah, let's hear you, sir.
Yeah, I listened to your conversation from your studio guest. You see, all those things they're talking, let us try to put it to practice. It's good to go to studio to explain and make the people happy, but let's put it to practicality, because like the frozen fish made the bringing here, like the chicken feed and all that. I mean, when you aspire yourself, I found we were G. Just imagine last month they get thrown a whole lot of things away from those people. If people are using lagoon people, anything can bring health problem. So they need to be reports to check those things. I mean, how do you bring a frozen meat when it's 2 more or 3 more to the country? They're not supposed to be. And to the airport and to the seaport there's a problem there. Those inspectors always receive bribe. Yeah.
You don't have evidence to that, though.
Yeah, we don't have evidence to that, but to show that after 3 months, 2 months, then they bringing things here. Then the people telling the people, "I'm not seeing you a pass. I'm not seeing you a pass." I mean, that's something they give you. It's very bad.
Okay. He will respond. Yeah, he will respond to that. Call us on 0770581886. Let's hear from this person. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
This is Austin C. Way. I call from Freeport.
Let's hear you, sir.
I want to congratulate Councilor for his preferment and taking over the standard authority. And I just want to encourage him that there's a lot of work that has been done when it comes to standard in this country. I'm glad that he said the standard lab has been accredited. Which make me happy, because we've been working in that direction to see how the standard lab will be accredited. Then other labs, secondary labs, like for example, the lab we have at the National Fisheries, we have a microbiology lab at the National Fisheries, which we intend to go through the process of accreditation. That will be a subset of the standard lab, but that will be controlled by the standard lab. I think that conversations need to go on, and I would love for him to take inventory of almost all the labs that we have in this country. We have labs from rural sectors, and one of the things that we have problem with is exporting to other markets, like for example the European markets. Like he talk about AXO, he talk about Codex. Most of these standards are minimal standards.
All right.
Now, for a country like European, you want to export to the EU, you have to adopt their standards.
Yes.
That has been a problem for us. Like for example, the biggest market for tuna is the EU. So our vessels are not able to export on the EU market. That's the reason why up to date we don't have flight tuna vessels. So those are the issues. The big issues that we need to tackle is not just the local standards. We have to look at the international standards.
How we adopt the international standards as well, right?
Standards, yes. How we adopt the international standards as well, and how we look at the existing infrastructure that we have in the countries that we can leverage. So it's not just about just going there. So and I will encourage him for us to have more conversations on that and see how we can move the standards authority forward.
Thank you. You made a very salient point. Thank you very much. Let's hear from this person. Morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm Teddy Ross, calling from Grand Bassa County, precisely the Kansas City. Yeah, we have Bedouin Kaswad. For a very long time, he conscientious, a credible individual. We have of the strongest conviction that he will deliver. My question is, this body is that what are the plans that he have to decentralize this entity, since the entity is a new world, many having sub offices in all the counties.
Yeah, especially border points, right?
Yes, very good.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you very much. You can take a call and go back to our guests. 770-581886. 0770-581886. Let's hear from this person lastly. Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, this is Odumaku calling from Brooklyn Town.
Yeah, let's hear you, sir.
Yeah, let me appreciate my brother, my friend, as far as it comes from. I think I know your ability, I know what you do, so that you deliver. But I have a question. My question is, the location of the stand now. Is it out there?
Okay.
Is there any need for us to, with the Ministry of Government, to relocate the stand now so that the national bodies can look at it as a stand now, that where we can test goods so that we can be accepted in the national market.
Okay. Thank you very much. What is duly located? Lastly, morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
I'm fine. What's your name?
I'm Jeffrey. I'm Johnson.
Yeah, you have to speak clearly now.
I'm Johnson. I'm calling from Johnson.
Yeah, let's hear you.
Yeah, I want to ask a question. Let's talk about goods. So I want to know what they will also on durable goods. What about the perishable goods that most of the time in the market, the chicken,
For frozen food.
The chicken, most of it die. Poultry and all of them just flow into the market.
Okay, that frozen fruit. Thank you very much, Mr. Kanswa. You can just respond to the concerns, couple of them.
Yes, let me talk about my brother Austin from the port. Austin stressed a very fine point, and the European market, most of our activity is challenged when it comes to exporting to the European market. And it's a very big market. And I can tell you, Austin, that matter is before me right now. I just talked to the head for standardization in the entity we took over.
Mm-hmm.
So we're having conversation and see how we get, because specifically fishery, we have a very good sector that is booming. So we need to participate in the global market. So the standards, the EU standards, just trust me, I show before this year and all the standards you think about that we need to domesticate or adopt and ensure that it work here. All are going to work together and ensure that it work. And I'm also aware about the lab that I was saying about inventory about labs across the country. And I didn't say that in my previous statement. Yes, we on that process already, and we're going to ensure that it work. The other guy said we boss action. We should not just be talking about mob. Yes, Liberians are victims of sweet mob. Most of the politicians just won't talk, or people in public service won't talk. And I don't think it will be that at the standard authority. The president have said no business as usual. The president, if you look at the retreat, the first retreat, we talk about coordination and performance. Coordination and performance. So performance is key for this government, and we want to ensure that we perform. So decentralization, yes, next year we'll be concentrating on decentralization. It's in our next year's plan. This year plan is not in it. So as soon as we get our council sitting, we'll present to them our plan of action for this year. We call it operational plan. So our strategic plan, the next year, our 5-year strategic plan next year, will get a process about decentralization and deployment of rural entries in the country. My brother talk about location, about the office. Yes. At the office, just imagine we get rooms to set up certain lab. There is no room for setting up of lab. The kind of lab we want to establish, the place we're located right now, we cannot establish the lab there. So there is a plan. The director for the standard lab told me that there's a plan. There's one donor that got some resources for us to think about relocation. So I'm sure that process this year, we're going to ensure that we follow it up and have the place survey and start working with the relevant government authority to ensure that we can think about having a future home. Because when we talk about laboratories, where we intend to establish these labs, we need spacious area, because they get too many things that we deal with. So we need place or space that can ensure that our equipment are installed and the quality processes are being followed. So we're going to work on that. The frozen food issue, I said to my brother, for the frozen food, yes, we're going to work with them. We're going to have the standards. We're going to work with them and ensure that we protect the market. And the thing about just talking, at the standard authority will not just be talking. We'll believe in more action, more technical work, because our place is more of being technical. And our technical department has to be very robust. No matter what, have the business department, the business department, the marketing, the finance, we will reach up to the public. We'll do some public work, but I'm going to concentrate on how we can protect the market and our people.
Okay, great initiative, great ambition. Again, Mr. Council, I'd like to say thank you very much. Somebody talk about decentralization.
Yeah, I'm saying that we'll decentralize. We'll start a decentralization process next year, because right now we need resources. And, we need resources to start the decentralization. And the government that we work in, the president has said we have to decentralize. We have to take services to our people. So without run the standard authority just from the ministry office, we're going to ensure that we have it in a border post where we get entries of goods coming.
Yep.
We'll ensure that we have structures in counties in terms of human resources that will work with local county authority to ensure that the standards are being enforced.
Okay.
And through the Ministry of Commerce.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Council Alison Kanswa. It's been a pleasure speaking with you on the show this morning.
Thank you so much. I appreciate, and I want Liberian people to get involved in what we do at the standard authority, because it's about all of us protection. The president said rescue. The rescue is now his one business. It's all about business. Like, we need to work together to ensure that the commerce is protected from goods that are not substandard goods or substandard services, and we must promote standard at all costs. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. He's Council Alison Kanswa, the first Director General of the Liberia Standard Authority. He's been my guest. Next up, I will be speaking with my guest from PPCC. This is the Super Morning Show on ELBC Radio with me, Vaflik.